Back with another Portable Clint. Guys, I got a cool dude here. Cool actor. He's got a cool voice. Cool dude. I love this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony L. Fernandez. Wow, look at this.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Dude, thank you, man. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Anthony, you were just about to tell me why the L in the middle of your name. Anthony L. Fernandez. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so, when I was deciding what I wanted my stage name to be,
Yeah.
by birth, my name is Anthony Fernandez.
Yeah?
And I just kind of dug that three-part thing that Samuel L. Jackson sort of,
Michael J. Fox?
Yeah, Michael J. Fox. And so L actually is my middle name. It starts my middle name. I won't say what that is, but I decided on Anthony L. Fernandez.
I dig it, dude.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Thank you.
Okay, Anthony, let's talk. Let's go back in time, okay?
Okay.
When did you start thinking about becoming an actor?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a little story that goes even further.
Go for it.
From around 99, I kind of weaned myself off the streets.
Tell me a little bit about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, growing up even through high school, I was kind of what you would consider not a troublemaker. I wasn't a bad person, but I did bad things, and I ran with a tough crowd, and it was the 90s. I grew up all over the country, actually, but my family's from the West Coast, and so from LA to Washington State, I kind of wreaked havoc a little bit. I would carry guns to school, and we would
Really?
shoot them up, and we were
You would
selling
carry an
drugs.
actual gun to school?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, I dig this because this is real America, dude.
is.
This is real. So
It is.
tell me just a little bit more. I don't want to go too deep, but I want to hear it because you're such a positive light now, dude.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I love this story.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more. So you went to school with guns?
Guns, selling drugs. Before I'd go to school, we'd down some 40s, and it wasn't that I wasn't a respectful person. I was always a respectful person, but there was no secret of who I was. The teachers all knew me, and that's just, it was a really charged political climate back then. So as far as when like Higher Learning came out, it was on the cusp of Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, and that's how we lived. Some of my best friends were 18th Street, Crips, BGD, which is Black Gangster Disciples, and so that's kind of who I ran with. It's all about belonging, and that's, if you saw me then, even up through until my mid-20s, bald head, everything I owned was black, from the socks to the drawers,
Yeah.
That was my mentality.
Okay, there had to have been a moment where it all started to turn.
Yeah.
What was that moment? Who was that moment? What was that moment?
Well, there were stages. There was a first stage for a year. My mother went to Washington State University. My brother followed, and so I was 1 year behind him. And he's always been a little bit better than me, as far as like just he's stuck in school. He did
That's
things
what you
right.
thought he was a little bit better
Well,
than you.
not a better person, but like he just made better decisions than me.
Okay,
and
I got you.
him there. And, I saw this movie BCU, and I'd grown up watching, Animal House and seeing these great
Sure.
things. And so even though I know I didn't have the grades, I needed to change. So I went up there for a year to audit and kind of get into class. And I didn't really do that. I lived the life I wanted to. I ended up kind of selling weed and hanging out, but it kind of opened me up to like who I was. I never really grew up around the stereotypical Mexican family. So it kind of got me involved to know some of the Latino students that were on campus becoming politically involved. But I just partied. I had a good time. I knew everyone. I knew the white frats, the black frats. But after that year, it was like I was bored with it, and I decided to hit the streets hard. And I was around 19. I came back. It was actually a place called the Tri-Cities, and it was where some of my friends were. I was all on my own. And that's when I hit it hard. I was really into selling drugs. I would do coke. I sold meth. And the turning point was I was sitting in this trap house. I was watching this really scary dude that kind of ran that thing, slamming dope into the middle of his toes. And it was like a light. And I was like, what am I doing here? My health wasn't that great. I was just stressed out. I never really had a place of my own. So that kind of leaned on me to the point where I said, I'm done with this. I said, I'm coming back to LA. My best friend, I brought him down actually. His name is Arthur. I talked to him and I said, if I don't leave, I'm going to be dead.
Okay.
And so there was the decision made. We always seemed to be, when he was legit, I was in the streets, and vice versa. So he had been working a regular job. He needed money to come down. I said, you know, one last flip. So we bought some dope. We flipped it.
This is just like a movie, always that one last deal.
Yeah, that one last deal. And we made a pact. We said we're not going to tell anyone. There was a few people maybe that we kind of told, but it was just ghosts. So we ended up flipping that. He packed his stuff up. I packed my stuff up, and then we hit the 5 down, and he followed me down. And just by chance, too, because you know how the Southland is that his uncle was living in Orange at the time, in Orange County, and my mother was in Costa Mesa. And I said, you know, if you were in Santa Monica and I was like down here, there's no way we wouldn't really see each other as much.
Right.
But just happenstance, it was like that. So we both made the trek down, and that was that first, you know, sort of part of I'm going to get a job, go legit. He ended up selling, I believe it was alarms door to door, and I was at this U-Haul in Newport Beach. And we went to this nightclub. We love partying. We love the party scene. We got down there. It was completely different. It was kind of like coming up. It wasn't the streets. So he said, I'm going to be a bouncer. And I was like, yeah, all right, okay, you're going to be a bouncer. And so next thing you know, I'm sitting there one day, and he was like, hey, man, this spot opened up, because he had gotten a job at a nightclub called The Boogie in Anaheim.
Okay.
It was, you know, it was around for a long time, years. They actually filmed the opening scene to Roadhouse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Where he was looking for it.
Yeah.
And so that's where he had gotten on. He gave me the call. I was more than happy to come up and do that shirt on, and we got to making money, and that's what weaned me off the streets.
Okay, awesome.
Because for the years I was there, I ended up becoming a manager. You know, I got the fun of fighting, partying, everything like that, but it was legit, and I got to go home at the end of the night.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Look at you. Now, let me ask you something. Anthony, you're so good as an actor. Right, you're the hustle in you so good, the talent, the everything that you bring to it is so good. Were you good at dealing and being a gangster? What would you call yourself back then?
You know, I think that it just all comes down to, no matter who you are, we all put on whatever face we need and whatever act we need to survive in the world that we're around, whether it's by choice or just by luck of the draw, whatever it is. And so, but I always say this, I say, if you do something long enough, you'll become that. You know,
okay,
I would hear some of these kids that wanted to be gangsters, and they always throw that wannabe thing in, but with me, it was like, no matter what your background, if you do it long enough, if you act that way, if you hang around those people long enough, you will become that. So with me, it was just more of kind of finding out who I was, or who I thought I was, and gravitating towards the people that made me feel most comfortable. And but I always had that personality where it's, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it 150%.
So that's what I'm saying. So being a drug dealer, or whatever you want to call it, were you really good at it?
I was well liked by a lot of people. I probably got a few more passes than some guys did. And even to this day, there's just different personalities. I say, like, there's some of my old buddies that I couldn't bring into some of the Hollywood events I go to just because they keep it so real.
Yeah.
And that's something, you know, I respect in them. It'll never change. But there's, like, I've always been a chameleon. I've always been to kind of slip in and out of different styles and settings, and meet with different people. And
okay,
it's been one of my talents.
Well, dude, and you're so awesome, man. I've always loved you, dude. I've known you for about 2 or 3 years, dude, and you're such a positive, bright light, brother.
Thank you.
And that's the reason why I love your story. Okay, so tell me about the turn into acting.
Well, I was at this nightclub. I was making money. I was single, no family. We had racks stacked up in the safe. We were taking trips, doing whatever we wanted to. And then around 2006, all right, so the deal was with this club is there's even a report you can look up online. I believe it's when Sally Met Jack. It's an acronym. It was an actual case that was built up. They were watching us. The Anaheim PD was watching us at this club. And through the years 99 and 2006, it was reported that the security was mostly some of the main ones involved in the illegal activity that was going on there. So guilty kind of is charged, but I won't go into too much detail.
Sure.
But then 2006, they finally closed the club. There was about 40 sheriffs that came out.
Don't be going too far away from me.
Yeah,
There you go. There you
There
go.
were about 40 sheriffs that came and shut it down one night. We thought it was just a capacity violation, and so that was it. I believe we went away for however long they said, and when we expected to come back to work, it was paychecks handed out. That's it, we're done. And it was a great ride, and within that amount of time that year, I had actually met my now wife. She was pregnant. She had a son. He's my son. I hate saying stepson.
Sure, yeah, awesome.
I've had him since he was 8 years old. He's 21 now, but at that time, I considerably underestimated the financial responsibilities that it took to raise a family. And so I had money, I had good credit saved up, but as I slowly started noticing no security jobs were really paying that much, finances started dwindling, and me with no real formal education. I was always intelligent, but just nothing on paper. And so I decided to go back to community college at Cypress.
I'm so impressed with you, man. Just hearing you talk. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, I went back thinking it would be business, just because any form of business you're in, I was really interested in. I figured I could make money, but I've always been an artistic person. I guess movies always helped me through life, always moving around, and so I chose acting as an elective.
Okay, but tell me was there a movie? Was there a person who kind of led you? Like John Belushi led me to acting. I mean, certain people, certain movies, Stripes led me to acting. Which movies or people stood out to you to lead you to become an actor?
Well, I got to be honest. When I was probably junior high, up through before the streets kind of took me away, Lou Diamond Phillips was my man.
He's because I'm from Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
And he's from that area too. So I love that dude.
And I watched him all the way back from Harley and these independent ones.
Yeah.
And he was just always amazing. He gave real heartfelt performances, and kind of like through La Bamba and Stand and Deliver.
Stand and Deliver is so great.
Yeah, just
both the movies are great.
Yeah, so I identified with that. It was just an actor that blew me away, and there were several others along the way, but he's a standout, definitely.
Okay, so when do you take a headshot? When do you go, all right, I want to take a headshot? Who's telling you to take a headshot? Who's leading you to find an agent?
Well, I actually studied for like 4 years.
You studied?
Yeah, I did whatever security jobs I could. My confidence wasn't really there at the time, and it took a lot of building back, a lot of getting in shape, growing my hair back out, getting the fits right, and I actually started going out to Hollywood to classes. From that point on, it was like, okay, I think I can do this. I'm gonna take the headshot. So it was pretty much me. It was at a beautiful time in Hollywood where everything was starting to be a little bit easier for actors. It was like you could go online and self-submit.
Yep,
It wasn't pounding the pavement, Thomas guides like my predecessors.
You're absolutely right.
So I took advantage of that. And but I do remember, my first time I really didn't know the business that well, and it was like I would learn as I went, and I had no resume at one point, but I did like a showcase one night, and I handed my resume off, and he kind of looked at it and said, what am I supposed to do with this? And he kind of handed it back to me, and I was like crushed, like, oh man, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And but I kept chipping away at it. It was I went to Central Casting. I made my bones there. There was
Central Casting is where all the extras. That's where they sign up.
Yes.
I'm just letting anybody else know.
And it gets you to quick productions.
Yeah.
I mean, on the top-notch level, you can study them. You can be on set. You can make connections.
Absolutely.
You decide whether it's the work for you, because if you can't handle sitting around, hurry up and wait.
Dude, you are right about that, Anthony. You are right about that. You're doing the extra thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever get bumped up or anything like that?
There were a couple here and there. No real big major lines, but I remember we were working on Sabotage, David Ayer, beautiful movie. We were working on the ending scene, and they bumped me up to a guy because I was a smoker. I still have a cigarette or two here or there, but me and another girl were the only ones that smoked, so they wanted us to feature as pool players. So I hopped right in. I got this quick little snippet. Even today, some people that see it, they'll be like, "Hey, was that you?" And like,
Nice,
"Yeah, that
nice.
was me." And but no, I was doing. I was making my bones. I was submitting to any and everything on Actors Access, a great site to submit if you're starting out, non-union. And it was actually a last-second thing. So we can go into how I got my SAG. It was a production called Headshots. And it was last second, literally like, "Hey, tomorrow we're filming. We have this role for a lead in a trap house, and we saw your resume, and we'd like you to come on." As I believe the name is Hector. And so I was more than happy to do it. It was, money. It was what I love to do. So I showed up, got the lines down. It was a very funny thing. If you haven't
Do you remember
seen
the
it.
line?
I really don't. There was
Okay,
one. There's one great one where I'm getting in this guy's face, and I go, "Adios, cabrón." And it was hot. It was a hot day. I run hot, so it was really intense. But it's a comedy.
Okay.
So there's this riff kind of right after I deliver this really creepy, intense line, and but it's still on Headshots. It's season 2 I'm in, called Nobody's Mule.
Okay. All right.
So
I'm
watch
going to
it,
check that out.
yeah,
I'm going
I'd
to
love
check
for you
that
to
out.
watch it.
Anthony, this business has a way of kicking you in the gut
Oh,
when
yeah.
it gets really hard,
Yeah.
and you second guess things.
Yes.
Just like the movies. Did you ever have that moment where you got kicked in the gut in this business and you said, "Man, I'm just going to go back selling drugs or get back in that life"? Have you ever thought about that for a second?
No. There's always been some moments of like doubt or questioning why, what isn't working, but there's never been anything in my life that I've been so proud to have earned with the help of some great people in my life to say that I'm a professional at something. And something that's always stuck with me is just, that meme where you see the guy's digging and the guy is almost there and he gives up. And to me, that's always been kind of a metaphor for what the business is. It's not necessarily just taking off like lightning and having everything served to you on a platter. It's showing up, hanging on and being the last guy in the room, or, first guy to show up. Come hell or high water, making it happen. And I knew that there was nothing else that I could go in one day, if I just did my job, studied right, and they saw that light in me, that I could make a paycheck that would take care of weeks worth of work, if not months.
Anthony, I'm going to tell you something. There's not a doubt in my mind that you're not going to be a series regular on a show. You will be a series regular on a show. I see it on NBC. I see it coming on at 10 p.m.
Right on.
And then between seasons, you're going to be doing movies.
Yes, sir.
Are you okay with that?
That's what I love. Oh, yeah.
When you first got into this business, what did you see yourself accomplishing? What did you want to accomplish at the beginning?
At the beginning, I just wanted to get lines.
Yeah.
I didn't really care what it was. I was comfortable with the gangster thing, the tough guy. But I knew that I wanted challenges to be able to not only promote my skills, but to show that I could give the Hollywood leads a run for their money.
Okay, when was the first thing that people started noticing you in? I kind of want to know, did anybody from your old life recognize you from your new life?
They did. It was kind of a combination of social media. The second you're in acting, you have to start promoting. And it's an easy way to find people from the past.
Sure.
And, so it really was. There was a lot of people, but surprisingly, they've been really supportive. A lot of the guys, it's kind of like one of those do it for us things.
Yeah.
And when it came down to it, the main thing that everyone saw me in was the wedding ringer. And it wasn't just a great couple scenes. It was with Kevin Hart and Josh Gad.
Yeah.
And starting out, who could you want to be in the
Exactly,
scene with,
man. Did Kevin Hart talk to you? Did you guys talk one-on-one about anything? Did you ever?
We got a few minutes in between. I was kind of coming on green, and
Yeah, I hear you.
It was just a beauty to be included. So you never know how much power you have and reach. And but yeah, I mean. It was an amazing feeling because it just gave me a couple pointers, both him and Josh, within the time that we had. Just have fun. If you're not having fun, then what's the point? And just I took it by lead. when they took liberties with the script or the actions, it gave me the freedom to kind of do that as well and loosen up. And it really made me feel like, you know, when you get more control and figure out who you are as an actor, you know, the things that you don't do might haunt you. But if you do it and they say we don't want it, then
at least you tried.
Yeah. And it was funny. There's so many things in the movie that didn't make it in. But Jeremy had me up there dancing. He had me dancing. He was like to try some ballet. And for this tattooed guy, you know, that's what it was. I didn't even really get it at that time. But when I saw it, I saw the final cut. I was like, I get it.
Now you have tattoos, right?
Oh yeah, all over. Actually, they're covered up today for an audition.
Tell me about when you got. When did you get your neck tattoos?
I got those around probably like 19, yeah.
Okay, and so as an actor, that's kind of good that you can show up with that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, has it been a pain? Has it ever worked against you? I know it's easy to cover them up and no one ever knows, but has it helped or hurt you to have them?
You know, I can
in the business.
It's helped and hurt. There were probably some roles, you know, and it was a lot of me not knowing kind of what they want. Sometimes you know there were moments where maybe I got a little bit big-headed and was like, I'm not going to cover them up. You know, the performance should get me through. But the fact is that it's always best to show them what they want to see, what you want to show them as far as the character goes. So I keep them covered up. And I even had a commercial, pretty big commercial a few years back where they didn't know that I had tattoos from the moment I went in the audition room to the time I wrapped.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And
it's just a smarter thing to do. I recommend it because it has been a headache, and there are even several of my colleagues that kind of came from the same place as I did, and a lot of them are getting them lasered so that they can just increase their work. But me, I always had this sort of mentality that these younger guys, because they're more accepted now, but I always figured that these younger guys aren't going to kind of get a pass on the work that guys like me had to lay down to prove that we had the skill and you know, eventually to have them still book you but cover them up or get the job, you know.
Okay, couple things. Do you ever go and talk to people on the streets, any gang kids, to talk about a different life for them?
I have.
Because you seem like a perfect person to go out and help others.
I have. There's a few at-risk programs that I visited. One was in Orange County, and then there was actually college. It was East LA College, community college, and I went up there and spoke to students that were, I believe it was like a political poli-sci sort of course. So we were discussing just the climate of Hollywood and how it reflects with you know, just the politically correct state nowadays versus what we show, you know, in film and television. And I just love if I can capture one, like they say, it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. There could be somebody, you know, especially growing up in the lifestyle that I have, where a lot goes to fitting in with the flock. You think it's individualism, but it really isn't. And there's a lot of razzing and, you know, who would do that. But it's funny to me because on the flip side of that, since I've been an actor, you know, when I was younger, before I was acting, there'd always be some of those hardcore guys that look at you and hit you up and kind of like, who are you? But since I've been acting, it's a totally different vibe, and they're like, hey, can I get a picture with you, dog?
Awesome.
Like, you know, and it's an amazing feeling.
Tell me 3 of your favorite gigs that you booked.
Okay. One is definitely Rebel. And that was a John Singleton. We were supposed to get a second season. It was on BET, and I got a 4 out of 8 episodes on it. It was a really good show. Some great people worked on it. But we didn't get the second season, but I just remember all the people that Michael Massini, Daniel Truitt, who played Rebel, was amazing. Just a great group of people. Derek Ray.
Tell me about John Singleton.
It was amazing meeting him and being included. He, of course, has passed away now, but watching his films really did something to me as a child.
Yeah.
There was a beauty in where you came from. You know, I was, you know, welfare, single mother, me and my brother growing up, and just seeing a reflection from Boys in the Hood on his work has been so beautiful and so thought-provoking, and to just know that I was chosen to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And it was a real thing. I got to deliver a great line to Danielle one time where it was like, you know, all across the country, black and brown men are being killed by police every day, you know, somewhat to that effect. And it really hit home. So I was hoping that we would get a chance to see where the characters led and how they developed, but you know, for whatever reason it didn't happen, but it propelled me into other great work.
Great.
My most recent, well, not most recently, I just got back from my most recent, but the one that has been the most joy to do was
Bruno.
It's Bruno, baby.
Tell me about
Amazing.
that. I'm sorry, I've never seen it, but there's a lot of heat to that, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I saw that you were a part of that.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
So it was actually almost around this time I was there filming. So what had happened was maybe
That was in New York. Where did you
yeah,
shoot?
it was in New York,
Yeah,
and I
that's
had been there
awesome.
once the previous year, kind of doing the touristy thing, but I had never quite as an adult been able to get there and breathe it in and experience it. And
Tom Waits' song said I had to move to the West Coast to go to the East Coast.
yeah, it's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
So it was actually one where a buddy of mine, Jaime Peralta, he had hit me up and he just kind of sent it to me. He was like, hey, there's this project going on. I really didn't even know that it was in New York at the time. But he was like, let him know that you know me. And so I did. I sent him off and I said, hey, he thought I might be good for one of the roles on this project. And so casting got back with me, and it was Nightingale Casting. And they said, yeah, we'd love for you to read as the dad to this son. And from what I read, it was just, you know, it was cute. It was this tough guy, and he has a son, and it kind of mirrored who I was. And so, you know, I really put in my work on these two scenes, and, you know, I really was working on my Brooklyn. And so next thing you know, within that week, I booked. And they said,
Nice.
we'd love you to come out. Only thing is, you have to work as a local. And
Which is what we do. A lot of actors are doing that.
Yes.
That's a common thing. Go ahead. It's a local, meaning you got to fly yourself there.
They actually flew me out. They
Okay.
took care of everything while I was on set when I was working. But as far as my day-to-day, when I would go home, it was for me to, you know, pay for my own accommodations.
Okay, and how did you do that? Where did you stay?
Well, at first there was an actor who I thought I kind of worked out between a buddy that said I could stay there, and so all the way up to me almost ready to leave, I thought the place was ready, and then last second he was like, I guess he didn't get the part.
Oh
There
man,
it
oh
was.
man.
And you know, it was my wife actually. She said, you know, you have to do it, and you're just gonna have to Airbnb.
Does your wife support you 100%?
100%.
Isn't that the best? Because my wife is 100%
Yes, sir.
in behind me.
Yeah.
I mean, just always supporting me. That's great that
Yeah.
you have that, dude.
Yeah.
That's the most powerful, one of the most powerful things that you could have.
It is. I agree.
Okay, so you Airbnb.
I get in the first night, and we shot through October, so I was there for about a month, and it was just amazing. I was in Bed-Stuy for 2 weeks,
Awesome.
and I loved it because I know it's the same thing as in East LA over here. The gentrification is moving in, so it's not exactly how it was, how people that are from there remember it, but for me it was beautiful because it's not fully gentrified. You still get some of these old areas, and you know, but I loved it. Every morning I would put on my backpack. The locations would always be like within a couple of miles of shooting. I'd throw on my headphones, you know, and I would just soak it up. It was
Awesome.
You know, if it wasn't for LA, I think I'd be in New York.
Yeah, well, same here, man.
Yeah.
What's your third favorite gig?
That would have to be the one I just did. It's going to be coming out, I think, probably. I think they pushed up the date. I heard it was supposed to be February, but I'm not sure. It's called Deputy.
Okay.
It'll be on Fox.
Dude, that sounds great. Why hasn't there been a show yet called Deputy?
I don't know.
I mean, that's just been
There's
sitting
enough
out there.
decades. You know, I don't know, but it kind of. It was interesting reading it because what I thought it was and what it is a little bit of the same, but little bit different. We filmed in New Mexico. I was there for 2 weeks. I just barely got back, and it was amazing because I had been dead tired. Actually, I had been going over these scripts. They kind of switched them up on me, and I went in literally. It was like 3 weeks ago on a Thursday. I was in the audition room at 11, around 11, 7 o'clock. I had to actually go over because we've been working together for about a month, but I officially signed with Kevin Turner at Daniel Hoff.
Awesome.
So it was a beautiful thing. This was one of the first ones they had hooked me up
Great.
with. And literally 7 o'clock that same Thursday, I get the call, hey, you're going to be working on Deputy, way to go. Someone's going to call you, though, because you're going to be flying out tomorrow morning and gone for 2 weeks. Boom.
There's nothing better than when we get to fly somewhere.
Yes,
Man.
yeah, it was
2 weeks,
amazing.
okay.
And because I was away from the family for so long, toughing it out through Bruno, we made those, we got the first kind of practice runs in at me being away and how we would handle it. And it was a great thing because 2 weeks, I'm like, we can do it. And we did it. And it was amazing. I got to work on the lead is Steven Dorff.
Awesome. I love that dude.
Grew up watching him.
Me
got
too,
through
man.
Some hard times in life.
That's a
and
cool dude.
It was amazing.
Okay. Tell me the worst time on a set for you. Has there ever been a time where you were on it, you forgot a line, you couldn't work through a line, another actor was rude, something? Is there just been a bad
Not
day?
really, I'm one of those guys that I'm just a kid at heart. I can go 16 hours and still go strong with a great attitude. I really work hard to make sure that I don't mess anything up.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, there was one last second project working, I won't say names, but there was some really, really heavies in the entertainment industry, and I got to work with, the cast was amazing, and it was a last second thing. It was like, hey, we don't know if this guy will show up. It was a guy I worked with previously. He's still solid as they come. No regrets answering the call for him. But I went and did this character, and it was great because I got into this character. The guy actually did end up showing up, and so he was going to throw on the wardrobe and continue portraying that character, but they actually wanted me. They were like, actually, we think you did a little bit better or whatever it was. We'll find somewhere else for you. So we got through a couple of days of this great shoot that I got to work with some great people, and then at the end of it, there was some issues with the money.
Okay.
And so a lot of the people that were on it didn't get paid, and that was actually a bad experience because I believe that everyone should, even if it's a smaller budget, be compensated in some way for the hard work that they do, the time out of their schedule, and it's what sets us apart as professionals from the amateurs. And I just felt it was a little amateur of them to do.
Yeah, okay. Anthony, what do you want to accomplish in this business? What's the thing that you want? The number one thing. What do you dream at 3 o'clock in the morning about? What do you go, I want this to happen?
I want longevity in the career to get to a point where recognition for what you do and longevity. It's just when I was thinking of careers, and I have such a passion and love for acting that I say they will always need an Anthony Hopkins. They'll always need a child and everybody in between. And so I just want to have the longevity and kind of recognition to where, because you never stop fighting for roles. You never stop setting goals for yourself in the business. But there is a moment, I think, where the exhaustion of just trying to prove yourself, you kind of want that to go away and to know that people recognize you and that you are a staple as long as you make the right decisions and continue to be blessed and work with great people. And
Anthony, do you still feel like you're trying to prove yourself right now?
in a way. Every time that I knock one out, it brings me a little bit closer to the feeling that I'm an established actor, and it really does make me feel good because I've been able to prove myself in many ways, but I still feel like in many ways that there's some sort of proving that I still need to do.
Yeah. Best time in Hollywood for you? When was it? Now? Right now?
Right now. Right here, right now with you.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
The power of now is the most powerful if you can achieve that.
Yes.
We're always looking ahead or looking back.
Yeah.
Never just appreciating this moment right here.
That's it.
Anthony, we're at 35 minutes. Anything else I need to know about you? Anything else? I'm very inspired by you. Do you have to inspire yourself still, or is it just something that's naturally that you're natural at?
But I tell you what, living in the moment is something that has become easier and easier. I truly believe that God has my back because I have seen so many times where I should have been gone and out. So that's what inspires me. People like you. I saw you before I even decided to step into acting. I literally would see you in things, and you know. So when we kind of met and we started getting this rapport going, it was like, oh yeah, I can't believe who I met. You've seen him, and you know, it's just like I said, here and now, working with the people that I get to work with, interacting with people that I grew up watching. It's an amazing thing, and that's truly what inspires me, is just knowing, you know, I look back on the road at day one. It's a hard decision to make and say, where do I even start?
Yeah.
But there's nothing that I would rather be doing. I love my family. We get along great. I love my career. And so even through the hardships, I smile, and you know, that's it.
And Anthony, how long you been at this?
I have been acting since 2009, 2010.
Okay.
We SAG 6 years.
So 6 to 9 years you've been in the business.
Yes.
So 9 years. But you've already got a good fan base, man.
Yes. I've been blessed. I think part of that was it started me out on a good foot. Central Casting brought me to Gang Related. They did actually feature me a couple of times, and now I was a regular gang member. And since Emilio was in that one, a lot of the SOA fans followed me. But what it led me to was tweeting while shows were on, live tweeting, getting involved. I saw social media as being the future of our promotion.
Yeah.
It brings you to a point where you can start PRing yourself immediately. And that's what I did. I took advantage of that. I've been blessed to have such great projects that I've worked on with great people. The Real always looks good. And like I said, I really truly believe that God has been divine and shown me the path and put me where I need to be. And it's just about getting up and meeting it. You know, you can't just expect to lay in bed and have your dreams met. But if you get up, you show up, you do your best, then I truly believe that you can discover where your path is meant to be.
Amen, brother. Anthony, I've been wanting to have you on this show for a while. You and I have been playing, you know, back and forth, but we finally made this happen.
Yes, sir.
But dude, like I said before in this interview, I'll say it again. I've got big faith in you, brother.
Thank you.
Big things are going to happen to you, man.
Thank you.
I'm going to say it one more time, the third time. You are a bright light in this business, and we need people like you, dude, to show people the way.
Right on.
And dude, and I got your back no matter what, dude. Wherever we go down the street. Wait, come here. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, brother. Listen. Pound it. Anthony, do me one last favor.
Yes.
Tell everybody bye out there.
I'll see you later. You know how we do. God bless, billions, and peace from me out.